Servlet listeners allow us to do event handling in web applications. For example, if you want to react to an event like shopping cart, when a user adds an item to the shopping cart, you want to know how many items he has been adding to the shopping cart, you can write a listener for that. If you want to see how many sessions are being created in your application, you can write a listener for that, and you can write all the business logic which you want to be executed when that event happens inside the methods that you override in the listener. And it's very easy to write a listener. For each of the type of events you want to capture or react, there is an interface in the Servlet API. For example, Servlet Context Listener. If you want to react to the events on the Servlet Context interface, then you will override this, or you will implement this listener. You will write a listener class which implements this interface, and then you will override the methods which this listener interface has. All the business logic you want to write, you will write it inside those methods. What I have here is a simple listener class that implements HTTP session listener. So every time a session is created, the session is destroyed, the container will call into the methods of this listener class. The method I am showing here is session destroyed. Similarly, there is another method called session created. So every time a session is created and a HTTP session is destroyed, these methods will be invoked. You will get all the session information inside this event, and you can play around with it. You can simply log that data into your database, log files, or just whatever business logic you want to wrap around it. Similarly, you can override Servlet Context Listener, and then there will be context created, context destroyed methods. The other type of listener is Servlet Context Attribute Listener. This listener, you will implement this listener when you want to react to methods or react to events that happen when attributes are added into your session, attributes are added to your context, attributes are removed from your context, etc. So the various scopes are out there, context, session, request, etc. For all those, if you want to see what's happening with the attributes, you will create a listener that implements the Servlet Context Attribute Listener, or similarly Session Attribute Listener. If you want to see what's happening to the attributes inside your session, especially shopping cart, how many items the user is adding to the shopping cart, how many items he is removing from the shopping cart, you would extend or implement the Servlet Session Attribute Listener and then override the methods inside it and fill it with business logic. Once you create a listener class, you simply tell the container that this is a listener class by using listener element in your web.xml. The listener element has one child element called listener class. That's it. Here you mention your listener's class name. The container will look at what interface this listener is implementing and automatically will call into these methods at runtime when those events happen. So to summarize, listeners allow you to configure kind of handlers or listeners and react to events that happen in a web container or your web application. And the simple example I gave was the session creation and destruction example, as well as shopping cart. When something is being added to a shopping cart and removed from a shopping cart, if you want to wrap some business logic around it, you can create a listener that implements a Servlet Session Attribute Listener and override the methods inside it.